It was an ordinary Monday morning at SpaceX headquarters, but the atmosphere in the boardroom felt anything but ordinary. The team had gathered for their routine weekly strategy meeting, a room full of engineers, executives, and visionaries all eager to discuss the progress of their projects. Yet there was an underlying tension in the air, a palpable sense of uncertainty that was hard to shake off. As usual, Elon Musk, the founder and CEO of SpaceX, was at the head of the table. His usual intensity was there, but today it seemed different. The usual spark in his eyes, the almost tangible aura of optimism that he exuded, was replaced by something harder to define, exhaustion, maybe? Or was it doubt? He looked around the room, his piercing gaze sweeping over the faces of his loyal team members. These were the people who had stood by him through thick and thin, helping him push the boundaries of what was possible. Together, they had conquered challenges that most companies wouldn't dare approach. They had built the first privately funded spacecraft to reach orbit, revolutionized space travel, and made history with reusable rockets. But today there was an air of uncertainty. As the meeting progressed, Musk listened intently as his engineers presented their updates. The SpaceX projects were moving forward as always, but the pressure was beginning to mount. The recent challenges they had faced in their ambitious Mars mission were particularly heavy on everyone's minds. The timelines were tight, the stakes were higher than ever, and the expectations placed on them seemed to grow each day. The room was filled with the usual chatter about progress, setbacks, and timelines. The engineers spoke with passion about their work, but even they couldn't shake the underlying tension. Everyone could feel it. Something was off. Then it happened. Elon Musk, who had been silently listening to the updates, suddenly raised his hand. The room fell silent. "All right, let's pause for a second," Musk said, his voice lower than usual, almost contemplative. Everyone in the room looked at him, sensing that something was different. Musk's eyes, which were usually filled with a fierce determination, now seemed distant, almost weary. "I don't know if I can keep doing this," Musk said, breaking the silence. The words hung in the air, almost too heavy to comprehend. For a moment, nobody in the room spoke. It was as if time had stopped. Musk had always been known for his incredible resilience, his ability to push through adversity and challenges with a relentless drive. But today, it was as if he had just broken the unbreakable. The room froze. No one knew how to respond. Was this a joke? Was it a strategic move to shake up the team and force them to push harder? Or was there something deeper, something that none of them had been prepared for? Musk leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled together in front of his face as if he were contemplating something far beyond the scope of this meeting. "I'm not saying I'm quitting," but he trailed off, his voice trailing away into the weight of unspoken words. The silence stretched on. It was unlike anything anyone had ever experienced with Elon Musk. His confidence had always been unwavering, his drive unstoppable. But now his vulnerability was on full display, and it left everyone in the room feeling unsettled. One of the senior engineers, John, broke the silence. "Elon, are you saying you're done with SpaceX?" Musk shook his head slowly, his gaze never leaving the table in front of him. "No, I'm not done. He paused, taking a deep breath as if trying to find the right words. "I'm just wondering how much longer I can keep pushing myself, pushing all of you, if I'm not sure we can keep up with the vision. The pressure is getting to all of us. I feel it. Do you?" John, sensing the gravity of the moment, nodded slowly. "We feel it, Elon. But we're with you. We're in this together." But even John's words didn't seem to break the tension in the room. The truth was, everyone in the room had their doubts. They were all part of something bigger than themselves. They were part of a mission to take humanity to the stars, to make life multiplanetary. And that mission came with its fair share of sacrifices, sleepless nights, personal tolls, and unrelenting pressure. Elon's admission was a reminder of just how human even the most extraordinary individuals could be. He was a visionary, a genius, a billionaire, and the face of some of the most groundbreaking technological advancements of the modern era. Yet here he was questioning his ability to continue. The room was still frozen, everyone grappling with the implications of what Musk had just said. It wasn't just about SpaceX anymore, it was about the mental and emotional toll that was being exacted on its leader. The silence that followed Musk's words seemed to stretch endlessly, like a vast chasm that no one dared to cross. Each team member sat in their seat, trying to process what had just been said. The weight of the moment pressed down on everyone in the room. Elon Musk, the man who had defied the odds, who had built Tesla, SpaceX, and so many other ambitious ventures, was now questioning his ability to keep going. It was almost surreal. His admission was a rare crack in the armor of a man who had always appeared invincible. In all the years of working alongside him, none of his team members had ever witnessed Musk express anything remotely resembling doubt. He had always been the one to lead with unwavering certainty, pushing his team forward, challenging them to reach for the impossible. And yet now he was standing at the edge of something unknown, something that no one, not even he, could fully comprehend. Are we failing? Asked Sarah, a senior project manager who had been with Musk from the early days of SpaceX. Her voice was quiet, but it cut through the tension like a knife. She was the first to speak since Elon's admission, and everyone turned their attention to her. The question hung in the air, a heavy one. Was SpaceX, the company that had redefined space exploration, failing? Was this truly the beginning of the end for their dreams of colonizing Mars, for their mission to revolutionize the world of space travel? Musk didn't answer immediately. He sat in silence, his eyes fixed on the table. His fingers, which were usually drumming away at some imaginary rhythm, were now still. The room waited for him to speak, to offer some kind of reassurance, but there was none coming. I don't think we're failing, Musk finally said, his voice almost inaudible. But sometimes it feels like we're fighting an uphill battle, one that's getting steeper with each passing day. We're pushing the boundaries of human potential. We're trying to make the impossible possible. But at what cost? He leaned forward, placing his hands on the table, his gaze now scanning the faces of his team. This is bigger than all of us. But we've also reached a point where the pressure is unbearable. The stress is constant and it's only getting worse. And I'm not sure how much longer I can keep asking you all to carry this weight. For the first time, Musk looked vulnerable. There were no grandiose visions or lofty ideals in his words, just raw honesty. And that honesty sent a chill through the room. Elon Musk had always been a man who thrived on pressure. But this wasn't the same kind of pressure they had dealt with before. It wasn't about launching rockets or building the next big thing. It was about the emotional and mental toll of constantly being in the public eye, of constantly battling the odds, of knowing that if they didn't succeed, it wasn't just a setback. It was a potential failure that could set humanity's progress back by decades. The Mars mission wasn't just about rockets or spacecraft, it was about the future of the human race. If they couldn't get to Mars, could humanity ever hope to become a multiplanetary species? Could they really change the course of human history, or was it all just a pipe dream? Sarah, still sitting at the table, finally spoke up again, her voice trembling with empathy. Elon, I know it's been tough. We all feel the weight. But you've led us through the impossible before. We've made it this far because of you. We believe in the vision, in what you're trying to do. And we're here with you. We're not going anywhere. Musk looked up at Sarah, his expression softening for a brief moment. He wanted to believe her words. He wanted to feel the strength that his team was offering him. But there was a part of him that was still torn, a part that wondered if they were all too far gone to make it. John, the senior engineer who had been the first to break the silence in the room, added, "We've built the Falcon, the Dragon, the Starship. We've done things that the world said were impossible. And we're just getting started. You're not in this alone, Elon. We're all in this together." Musk's lips twitched into a faint smile, but it was brief. He wanted to believe them. He wanted to feel the unwavering confidence that had propelled him forward for so many years. But today, the weight of his responsibilities felt heavier than ever. As he sat there, lost in thought, his mind drifted back to the very beginning, the days when SpaceX was just an idea. Back when he was building the company with a handful of engineers and a vision that seemed too wild to be true. Back when the odds were stacked against them, but he had that fire in his eyes, the belief that anything was possible if they just worked hard enough. But now everything was different. SpaceX was no longer a small startup. It was a global powerhouse, a company that had the eyes of the world on it. The pressure was no longer just about success or failure, it was about something much bigger. It was about the future of humanity. And that burden weighed heavily on Elon Musk's shoulders. For a long time, he had been able to shoulder that weight alone, pushing himself and his team to the brink of exhaustion. But now, as he sat in that room surrounded by people who believed in him, he wondered if he could keep doing it. Could he continue leading them, continue pushing them to new heights, or had he reached his breaking point? The room waited for him to speak, for him to offer some kind of answer. But all they could do was sit in the stillness and hope that the man who had led them through so much would find the strength to lead them through this as well. The room was still. Elon Musk's words had unsettled everyone. For those who had worked with him for years, it was almost impossible to fathom the idea of a world where he wasn't the one steering the ship. Elon Musk had always been the driving force behind their success. His ambition, his relentless drive, had shaped SpaceX into the powerhouse it was today. But now, the man who had once seemed invincible was voicing doubts. His gaze shifted from face to face around the table, but he wasn't really looking at anyone. His eyes seemed distant, lost in his own thoughts. For a moment, it almost seemed like he wasn't even in the room with them. One of the junior engineers, David, who had only been with the company for a year, hesitated before speaking up. He was the youngest member of the team, still finding his footing in the high-pressure world of space exploration. But there was something raw and genuine in his voice when he spoke. "Mr. Musk," David began, his voice shaking slightly, "I know we all feel the weight of what we're doing here. It's a huge task. But we're here because we believe in it. We believe in you. I know this has been incredibly tough, but if anyone can keep pushing forward, it's you." The words weren't revolutionary. In fact, they were simple, even a little naive. But something in David's sincerity seemed to reach Musk. He looked at the young engineer for a moment, as though trying to gauge the truth of his statement. Musk took a deep breath and exhaled slowly, his shoulders slumping as though a weight had been lifted, even if just for a moment. He wasn't sure what it was about David's words, but something about them made him feel, if only briefly, like the leader he used to be. "I don't know if it's enough anymore," Musk muttered, his voice low. "I've asked so much from all of you. From myself. I've pushed us all to the brink, and for what? Mars? A better future for humanity? I used to believe that was enough, but now, I'm not sure anymore." There was a heavy pause. It felt like the entire room was holding its collective breath. Musk's vulnerability was a stark contrast to his usual persona, and it was leaving everyone in the room uncertain of how to respond. For years, they had followed Musk because they believed in his vision, his unyielding commitment to creating a future where humanity could reach the stars. But now, they could see the cracks in the foundation. Sarah, who had been silent for most of the meeting, spoke again, her voice softer than before. "Elon, we've been through so much. We've made the impossible possible. The world is watching us. They're rooting for us. But we're not just doing this for the world. We're doing this for ourselves, for the generations that will come after us." Musk raised his eyes to meet hers, and for the first time in what felt like hours, a flicker of something like hope crossed his face. "I don't know if I can keep going like this, Sarah. The burden feels too heavy." The room fell silent again, and it was clear that everyone was grappling with the same unspoken fear. What would happen to SpaceX if Elon Musk could no longer lead them? If he stepped away, would they still be able to achieve their goals? Could they still send humans to Mars? Could they still revolutionize space travel? For a brief moment, Musk seemed lost in thought, his mind wrestling with his own internal battle. He knew the weight of his decision would not only affect his company, but the entire future of space exploration. But how long could he carry that weight? John, the senior engineer who had always been Musk's right-hand man, cleared his throat. "Elon, you don't have to do this alone. We're all in this together. We've followed your lead because we believe in you, but you've also taught us how to lead ourselves. We've grown because of you." Elon Musk looked at John, and for the first time since the meeting began, he smiled, faint but genuine. "I've always known you all were the ones who would carry this forward," he said quietly. "But the question is, am I holding you back? Am I pushing too hard?" John shook his head. "No. You've given us the tools to succeed. We wouldn't be here without your vision. We just need to remember that it's not all on you. We're a team. We rise and fall together." The words seemed to have a lasting impact on Musk. He leaned back in his chair, his gaze no longer distant but focused, as if he was seeing his team in a new light. Perhaps they were right. Maybe the burden wasn't entirely his to bear. "I've pushed us this far because I believed we could do the impossible. And I still believe that. But maybe I've been too focused on pushing everyone else, forgetting that it's not just about the end goal. It's about the journey. And we can't do it alone." Musk admitted, his voice softer now. For the first time in what felt like hours, there was a sense of calm in the room. Musk wasn't giving up. He wasn't walking away. But he was willing to admit something he rarely allowed himself to, that it wasn't just about him. It was about everyone in that room. And together they could overcome the challenges they faced. But the conversation wasn't over. Musk had opened up a door that no one in the room had expected. There was still more to discuss, still more to process. But for now, there was a sense of unity in the room, a feeling that they could all continue on this path together, even in the face of uncertainty. The tension in the room seemed to ease, but only slightly. Elon Musk's vulnerability had cracked the facade, but the road ahead was still unclear. No one knew what the future held, but the weight of his words had shifted something in all of them. It wasn't just about the next project, the next mission. It was about finding their collective purpose again. They had all come to SpaceX with a dream, with a belief that they could be part of something greater than themselves. But now, that dream was in question, and Musk's doubts had shaken their confidence. Musk leaned back in his chair, his fingers lightly tapping the table as he processed everything that had been said. He wasn't sure if the doubts had subsided, but he could feel something else beginning to stir within him, something he hadn't felt in a long time. I think I've been so focused on Mars, on getting to the next big milestone, that I've lost sight of why we're doing all of this in the first place, he said, his voice steady now, but still tinged with reflection. We're doing it to make the world a better place. We're doing it because we believe that humanity can do more than just exist on Earth. But maybe I've been too obsessed with the outcome, and I've forgotten about the people who got us here. It was as if the fog that had clouded his mind for so long was beginning to lift. Musk wasn't just thinking about the missions, the technologies, or the deadlines. He was thinking about his team, the people who had put their faith in him, who had sacrificed alongside him. They were the ones who had believed in this vision, and maybe, just maybe, they could still reignite the spark that had driven them all those years ago. I've been so focused on the endgame, on the idea of Mars and space travel, that I've neglected the people who made this all possible. I've been pushing you all too hard, expecting you to be more than just a team. You've been my partners, my co-creators in this. And I can't do it without you. It was a rare admission. Elon Musk, the visionary, the relentless innovator, was acknowledging that he needed his team, not just to execute his ideas, but to share in the responsibility of shaping the future. They had all carried the weight, but perhaps it was time for a change in approach. Maybe, together, they could find a new path forward, one that was sustainable, that didn't rely on pushing everyone to the brink. As the silence hung in the air, Sarah, ever the pragmatist, spoke up once again. Elon, we've always followed you because you make us believe in something bigger than ourselves. You make us believe that we can do the impossible. But I think we need to remind ourselves of that. We need to find that spark again, the passion that brought us here in the first place. John nodded in agreement. We're not just building rockets and spacecraft. We're building a future where humanity can thrive. But we can't do it if we're burned out. We can't do it if we're running on empty. Maybe it's time to take a step back, reevaluate, and find a way to move forward together. Musk looked at his team, a slow smile creeping across his face. He had always prided himself on being able to see the bigger picture, to think about the future in a way few others could. But in that moment, it was clear that his team had been the bigger picture all along. It wasn't just about the rockets, the technology, or the vision for Mars. It was about the people who had helped him bring those dreams to life. I think you're right, Musk said finally, his voice more confident now. We've been so focused on the destination that we've forgotten why we started this journey in the first place. We've built incredible things together. But the real success isn't in reaching Mars, it's in what we've done along the way. The impact we've had, the people we've inspired, and the innovation we've fostered. That's what matters. For the first time in what felt like forever, the room wasn't filled with tension. There was a sense of understanding between them. Musk wasn't giving up on his mission, far from it. But he had realized something important. It wasn't just about pushing the boundaries of what was possible. It was about doing it in a way that didn't break the people who were making it all happen. It was about building something sustainable both for the future of humanity and for the people who were working tirelessly to make that future a reality. I don't know what the future holds, Musk continued, his voice now steady and resolute. But I do know one thing, I can't do it without all of you. And I don't want to. We're in this together. We've come this far together, and I believe we can keep going. But we have to take care of ourselves, take care of each other. We're a team, and we rise and fall together. It wasn't just a declaration, it was a reminder of the bond they shared. And in that moment, as the weight of his words sank in, Elon Musk knew that they were ready to move forward again, not just with a renewed sense of purpose, but with a deeper understanding of what it meant to truly lead. The conversation didn't immediately return to the technicalities of rockets or Mars. For once, the focus was entirely on the people who made SpaceX what it was. There was a quiet sense of healing in the room, a collective realization that the future they had been working toward was never meant to be carried by one person alone. Musk had opened up about his doubts, and in doing so, he had reminded everyone of the larger purpose they were all a part of. It wasn't about ego or individual glory, it was about a shared vision. After a few moments of reflection, Musk stood up from his chair, his back straighter, the weight on his shoulders lighter. He looked around the room at the faces of the people who had stuck by him through thick and thin. His eyes lingered on each of them for a moment, as if silently thanking them for their dedication, their passion, and their unwavering belief in what they were building together. "I want to take a moment to thank all of you," he said, his voice calm but filled with gratitude. "You've all been incredible. We've come a long way, and I know it hasn't been easy. But you've stuck with me, and you've stuck with this vision. We've done things no one thought possible, and we're still doing them. And that's because of all of you." There was a quiet murmur of appreciation, but it wasn't just about the praise. It was about the feeling of unity that was beginning to permeate the room. SpaceX wasn't just a company anymore, it was a family. Musk had finally acknowledged the truth that many of his team had known for years. The journey wasn't just about reaching Mars. It was about the relationships they had forged, the challenges they had faced together, and the legacy they were building, not just for themselves, but for the future. "And we're going to continue this journey," Musk continued, his eyes gleaming with determination once more. "But we're going to do it differently. We're going to take care of ourselves along the way. We're going to work smarter, not just harder. And most importantly, we're going to make sure that we're still excited about this when we reach the end of the road, whenever that may be." The room seemed to collectively exhale, as if releasing the tension that had been building for months. Musk wasn't giving up. Far from it. But he was no longer trying to carry the entire weight of the mission on his own shoulders. He was willing to trust his team, to lean on them, and to remind them that the journey wasn't a solitary one, it was a shared effort, and it was worth every challenge they had faced. "I think we all need a reminder of why we're doing this," Musk added, his tone softer now, almost introspective. "We're not just trying to get to Mars. We're doing this because we believe in humanity's future. We're doing this because we want to show the world that anything is possible, that the impossible can be done. And that's something worth fighting for."